Hey, my fellow ink drinkers, welcome to Dark Violet Dreams. Today I am sharing my 5-star reads for 2023. All of them. Yes, all of them. But I will keep most of these short. I'll just share pictures with some music in the background so you can kind of see what I read and loved. And we will go into greater detail on the top 10 2023 books. So without further ado, here are my 5-star reads. Let's talk about my top 10. I shared my top 10 reads on Instagram. I'm not sure if I shared a short over here or not. It's been a minute since I've created a video here on YouTube. I didn't know if I was coming back. I just got overwhelmed with life, we'll just put it that way, and I had to prioritize some things. But I was able to find this balance, and I'm not committing to weekly, monthly, nothing. Not committing to anything here on YouTube. I'm just going to put videos out as I can and talk about the books I'm reading or writing and loving, and we'll go from there. So anyway, I had 35, I believe, 5-star reads, and I had to choose 10. I don't know why, because any of these could have been in the top 10, but it took me a hot minute to come up with my favorite reads, and here they are. In no particular order. We'll save the best for last, though. If you have been around Instagram at all, you might have an idea what that favorite book could be, but if you don't know, stay tuned. You'll find out shortly. The first book that I put in my top 10 books of 2023 is Native Fear by C.F. Page. I read this book twice in 2023 and absolutely loved it. His writing is flowery without being too over the top. He creates a good visual without sharing too many details. He does an excellent job with his stories, all of his stories that I've read, and I look forward to reading more from C.F. Page. Native Fear takes place in Michigan, and that really jumped out at me because I am a Michigan native. So I really enjoyed it. It went above and beyond my expectations, so I highly recommend anything by C.F. Page, but especially Native Fear. In the Beginning by Nick Gerard was one that I originally gave a 4-star rating. I'm not sure why. Maybe I was a bit uncomfortable because he does take kind of religious beliefs, creationist beliefs, and turns them upside down. And I loved the concept. I loved the message. The message overall was love conquers all. So I'm not sure. I think just the initial discomfort caused me to take away a star, but this book sat with me all year. I read this in the beginning of the year. It sat with me all year. It still um, speaks to me in certain ways. And so I bumped it up to 5 stars. And because this book is living rent-free in my head, as they say, it got a spot in the top 10. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This book was wonderful. I absolutely loved it. It gave me all the feels. I read the book and watched the movie around the same time, and I had not seen or read the book back in the day when a lot of people would have, but I'm so grateful for that opportunity. There's so many great messages there, so many feels. It was just such an amazing story, and I loved it. The Vile Thing We Created by Robert Ottone. Now, this book was amazing. Robert Ottone really sunk his claws into me. In a good way, I guess. I like his writing style. He develops some amazing characters. I mean, some of my favorite characters of all time. And the setting, everything about this book was amazing. I was impressed with his knowledge of pregnancy and childbirth, having not experienced that, but I learned that he did his research, obviously. I mean, he had to understand it a little bit, but just the way he wrote the character going through these things, I'm like, dang boy, you did a great job. So I was really impressed by that. Now, I am a parent of 6. I have not experienced any sort of demon child or weird thing like that, but I could totally relate to these characters and their feelings, and it was amazing how their experience became mine. He is a magician with the pen. Grey Noise by Marcus Hawk was another favorite. This is full of nostalgia, nihilism. You just have a lot to chew on here and a lot to appreciate. So this follows a guy who is running a video store in a time when video stores aren't appreciated. And he comes across this old school TV that you would have played your VHSs on back in the day. And so he snatches it up, puts it in his store, and things get weird and dark and twisty. And I loved it. And you can't go wrong with Marcus Hawk. Anything that he's written, I absolutely love. Crimson Peak was quite the experience. I absolutely loved this story. I watched the movie first, I believe. I could be wrong. My memory is not what it used to be. I've had a lot of children. I am middle-aged, so forgive me if I'm wrong here. But I believe I watched the movie first and then read the book, because I remember having really strong visuals while reading the book, so I'm pretty sure that's how it was. Now, this is a novelization, so the movie came first, then the book came after that, and loved them both equally. 5 stars all around. The setting is just gorgeous. The characters, amazing. The costumes, just everything about this. I just absolutely loved it. So if you're into like kind of the more gothic haunted house kind of stories, highly recommend the book and the movie. Consume them together. Maybe not at the exact same time, but you know, make a whole thing out of it. A themed week of Crimson Peak. Double Vision is next on my list, and this one I struggled with because Hamlin Bird is amazing, and he also wrote Drenchrome. Now, Drenchrome was heavily inspired by A Clockwork Orange. I have not seen or read A Clockwork Orange, but I did watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and definitely saw those themes in there. It was dark and brilliant. Yes, dark and brilliant. Yes. And I just absolutely loved it. So that almost made it to my top 10, but I had to pick one. And the thing that kind of took double vision up over the top was the connection to Wayward Sons. This was the first book that I read by Hamlin Bird, and I love it. It's my favorite Hamlin Bird book. But Double Vision is a close second because the connection is there. It explores a lot of like spiritual and time travel-y type things. I should have thought this through a little better in describing this, but there's a lot going on in this book, and he handles it so well. He is another master of developing great characters, settings, storylines, plots, what have you. He's just amazing. So you cannot go wrong with Hamlin Bird. Up next is The Nicest Parts of Hell. I sat on this book for far too long. I've known about this book for forever, and I just read it in November, I believe, and absolutely loved it. Loved everything about it. Billy Ray Middleton Jr. His writing voice is clear and fluid. It flows so effortlessly. Guess how many times I had to try to say that? Just everything about this is amazing. It gave me strong The Walking Dead vibes, minus the zombies. It's just this kind of like post-apocalyptic story that follows some interesting characters. All the characters are so unique and have their own voices. So despite the fact that there are a lot of characters in this book, which usually intimidates the crap out of me, they're so unique that I can pick them out and not become confused as I'm reading, which I really appreciate because I am easily confused. But this story was amazing. And I'm also listening to the audiobook. This is my first audiobook. Besides kind of listening along to some books on tape back in the day that my dad would pop in as we're on road trips or whatever, which I found absolutely boring, to be honest. This is my first experience with an audiobook, and I am loving it. I don't know if this is the standard, if like the sound effects and things like that are the norm, but it's so interactive, so like cinematic, and I am loving it. I heard from one trusted source that this is the best audiobook she has ever listened to, so I don't have high hopes for the other audiobooks I might branch out and listen to in the future. We'll see. People seem to be big fans of audiobooks. I just never think to listen to them. I'm always like listening to music or kind of putting some YouTube videos on in the background as I clean and things, but this has been such a fun experience, and it makes dishwashing and laundry folding so much more fun. But The Nicest Parts of Hell was an amazing book, and I absolutely love it. So, Maneater by Brittany Johnson. Now, I read Maneater, Teleexorcist, I think that's how you say it, and Ladybugs in November, all in the same, like, day, week. I don't know how long it took me to read those, but it wasn't long because they were shorter stories. I chose Maneater because, dang, that's a fierce story right there. This chick has kind of a gift, or depending on how you look at it, curse, and it makes relationships with men a little bit difficult, challenging. And so Brittany, classic Brittany, I absolutely love her writing style. One of my all-time favorites is Mississippi Blue. It's probably, yes, not probably, it is in my top 5 of all time. Mississippi Blue is just brilliant. Mississippi Blue is brilliant. Her writing style, ooh. Like, if someone's gonna give a writer a complex, it's Brittany Johnson. The way she writes, just, it's impressive beyond measure. And she's so creative and develops wonderful characters. But Maneater, excellent, excellent book. So now we come to my all-time favorite of 2023. And if I think about it, it's probably my all-time favorite book. And I don't say that lightly because I don't want to hurt feelings. I don't want to ruffle feathers or anything like that, but I have never related to a book so hardcore as I did to this one. I read this book on my Kindle and loved it so much that I had to buy a physical copy so I could hug it. And I will read it time and time again. The book is Hello, Dove by Gillian Dowell. Oh my land. Her writing style is perfect. Her storyline, so relatable for me, at least. The main character, Dove, she goes by different names, but Dove is a nickname that I love for her, and I will continue to call her Dove. She is the most relatable character I've ever read in my entire life. I get all teary-eyed thinking about it. Her experiences are somewhat relatable, but the book as a whole was like, I just felt it was written for me. I felt like the universe, God, whatever it is, put it on Gillian to write this book and put it out into the world for me. So thank you, Gillian. I am just blown away by the connection I have with this book and the talent that comes from Gillian Dowell. So if you have not read this book, it is not horror, but it's beautiful, it is dark, it is twisty, it is everything I love in a good book. And I am finding, as much as I love horror, I don't care what the genre is, as long as it gets that like gritty, dark, twisted, soul quenching goodness. That's what I want in a book. So if you have any recommendations, please post them below. I'd love to read the books that you suggest. I am on my book buying ban. I still accept freebies and still download freebies on my Kindle, but I'm trying to read the books on my shelves so that I can feel like their place is bought. Their place is well deserved on my shelves. That they're not wasting space, or that I'm not wasting books. You get what I mean. Anyway, those are my top 10. These were my 5-star reads of 2023. I'd love to hear if any of these were on your favorites lists, or what you thought of them. And please let me know what your favorite books were. If you don't have one, like me, which is like a rarity, believe me, I'd love to hear what you were enjoying the most. Whether that's a handful of books or 1 or 2, whatever. Share below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being patient with me as I kind of find my way back into this YouTube thing. It's good to be back, and I am excited to connect with you all and talk about books and movies and all the good things. Anything dark and twisty, really. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am sending my manuscript to my editor tomorrow, so my freedom has kind of come back to me a little bit for the time being. I have no set schedule here. You get what you get from me, but when I've got something to say and I've got the time to say it, I will pop on here and chat with you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you've got any videos you'd like me to check out, books, any of that sort of thing in the booktube realm. I appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, cheers.